And I turn on the camera. What is it we talking about? Anyways.
Yeah.
Well, do you want to talk about the Rihanna photo?
No.
Why?
Does not relate to business. That's not what I'm
Oh,
on
that's
here
all we're
for.
talking about? Okay.
Yeah, there'd be other times for all that kind of stuff, but no.
Okay. So then let's go to
I want
one
to
of your
feed. I
names.
want to feed people's entrepreneur spirit,
Okay.
and I want that to be a byproduct of them identifying their purpose. Because what's life without purpose? You know, and the earlier you identify your purpose, the better. Which is what I tell my children. You know what I'm saying? No.
Oh, you should.
Okay.
That's what we can talk about.
Then I'm recording. So yeah. Yeah, so purpose, the identification of purpose is so important. And I tell my children out the gates, what I mean by that is before they turn into adults, figure out what you really have a passion for. Now I know that's difficult because they don't know. Like in my lifetime, I've had at least 5 careers. And it wasn't until I got later in life that I realized I just wanted to be an entrepreneur. But then I had to say, why do you want to be an entrepreneur? Well, it became very evident to me that my purpose was, I got excited about business. And then you say, okay, why are you excited about business? And why is it important for me to do business? And then I started to break it down from there. I like doing business. Since I was a kid, I've been making money since I was 9 years old. Actually, I've been making money since I was 7. As an entrepreneur selling New Edition Candy Girl lyrics. And so I said, okay, why is it important that you become an entrepreneur? And since I started to see my purpose come into formation in my 40s, I said, you care about a community of people who are disenfranchised because of economics. Okay? So how can I build so that I can inspire people? That was one thing. Other thing was, why did I have to start from zero as many of us do? And I said, well, I could kill 2 birds with 1 stone. Build a business and make it about my children so they don't have to start from zero and teach other people how to do the same thing. That's 2 birds with 1 stone. That's why it was important to me to become an entrepreneur. And so my identification of purpose came way earlier. As I look back at my early years, I love business. I love flipping. I like to buy something for $1 and go sell it for $2. Love that. But then life came into the fold where you have to provide, so you pick what you can get into. Being from Detroit, a lot of people work with the automotive industry. In fact, probably when I was coming up as a Generation Xer, 85% of the people either work directly for the big 3 or some tier 2 supplier. You know what I'm saying? Some subsidiary of the automotive industry, whether it's a dealership or the actual assembly plant. And so it's easy for us to fall into a job and not pursue what it is we really wanted. And also, no one talked about entrepreneurship when I was coming out of high school. I'm talking about 1989. Who was really talking about entrepreneurship, right? Because we didn't really know about it. We knew there was business owners on the block, and in our neighborhood, they were ever becoming Chaldeans, right? But those were called business owners, right? Merchants. People that took merchandise and sold it to the public. But entrepreneurship came about in the past 30 years. And so we called it hustling. Gotta get a hustle, you know what I'm saying? Gotta beat Uncle Sam, get a hustle, you know what I'm saying? And so that was a thing back then, but now it's called entrepreneurship. And I think it's very important to define, why do you want to do anything? As we get older, in order for the thing you want to do to be purposeful and actually last and be successful, it's important to know why you're doing it. And that identification of your why is really the most important thing, because that why, whatever that why is, it'll keep you going forward. It'll keep you, when you have a challenge, you check in with that why. When you have obstacles, you check in with your why. When you need resources or have to be resourceful, Because sometimes not resources you need, it's just the resourcefulness is what you need in business. Creativity to me trumps resources, because many people have resources and they still don't make it. Like that percentage of people that don't make it in business, they ain't all because they ain't got money. Because if you're in business, why isn't your business generating enough money to sustain itself? You see what I'm saying? So what you're probably missing in business is your resourcefulness, right? I would say this. In seafood business, when I got into it, I had people that say, you can't do that other thing. You can't have turkey wings in a seafood restaurant. You know what I'm saying? You can't have, I'm like, fuck out of here. You see what I'm saying? Because we listen to people tell us what we cannot do, right? And so you have to have a mindset of, there is a, let me see if what they're saying is true. Just like the idea of blue crabs being of high demand in Charlotte. Got the idea, let me see if it's true, right? So if you have an idea inside of your actual business, see if it's true. But going back to the why is so important because the why will tell people to shut the hell up. You can't. Where you gonna find the money at? Shut up.
What is the difference between your why,
Yeah.
and passion? We talked about
So
finding your purpose, right? So we're gonna get to that. But what's the difference between your why and passion?
yeah, so
Is there a difference?
well, to most people, it's the same thing. To me, a why, okay, they can be the same thing. You can take your passion and say, that's my reason. That means that your why is not right. Okay?
What do you
Your
mean?
why you die for. All right? Get rich or die trying. You die for your why. There's no other reason that's going to stop me because this reason is so big. So your children, that's a great why if you have children. Because if you are very dead set on making sure that their economics, their financial situation is better than yours, then nothing's going to stop you. But if a Lamborghini or a Mercedes is your why, since you got a car that's working, shit gonna get tough. You're gonna be like, well, at least I got a car already. You see what I'm saying? So your why has to be so freaking big. I'll tell you this too. And why can be children, but can also be a competitive spirit. This is why I think that kids should be in sports, because that's where it's born. Or some kind of competition, whether it be, I don't know, spelling bee competition or sports, whatever the case may be. I think kids should be in sports because it builds this competitive advantage. And for me, I always wanted to win, right? I was driven by the win. I'm still driven by the win. I'm still driven by, you can't do that. Cool. That's what I needed to hear. I get fuel from that, right? But passion is different because passion can, to me, wane. You can be passionate about something. I know people that's passionate about a lot of stuff. Doesn't mean they're gonna keep going because something may be replace that passion, but they have more passion for it, right? They're over here trying to be a realtor, right? They got a day job, and then they want to open up a coffee shop as well. You see what I'm saying? Now they got divided passions. It's whichever one offers them the less obstacles that they may continue to go with, and that's usually that day job. What if you have no options, right? And so if you have no options, you care about your kids, they make a magnificent why because you want them to do better than you. You don't want them to start at zero, you want them to start here. And these here might be, when you go off in life, you won't assume a lot of debt. If I can do that, then I've done better for you than I have for me. No knock to my parents, but it is what it is. So that's why is different. You can't have a bunch of whys, but you can have a lot of passions, right?
Can't you have a bunch of options that because of your why? So you talked about this coffee shop and a job.
Yeah.
You were in the automotive industry, but you wanted to start your own business. Why does life have to delay purpose? Why be divided like that at all? You know what I'm saying? Like you said, life happens, so you have to get a job. You have to get a job. Why is that viewed so negatively in the marketplace, as if that takes you off purpose path? Why do we see things that way? You know,
Why
What's wrong
can't
with
you
that?
simultaneously do a job and be on purpose?
Yeah, why can't
that
that
the basic
job
question?
bring you to purpose? So you're an entrepreneur, you could have been that from day one, but you took the job as if that meant less.
Less significance?
Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't
What-
really. So to your basic point, environment, right? Environment is relative to our decision making. So when I was coming up, it wasn't really a trek that way because we didn't have enough information to be successful entrepreneurs, right? That's come about in the past 10, 20, 30 years. The messaging to us at 18, 19, you can go to college, or go into the automotive industry or military. Military's out. We weren't going to do that. And so it was, what's the passion? What's the purpose? That wasn't even a buzzword back then. We may have heard purpose, we're living in purpose, but not like now. Like we've evolved, like technology has grown so much in the past 30 years, so is psychology, so as business information, business knowledge, a different focus. You see what I'm saying? It used to be all white collar was the esteemed position. Now you got blue collar making more than white collar. See how things have changed over the past 30 years? To where now, parents wouldn't talk about live your purpose when I was 15 years old. They was talking, you need to get a job. When you get out of high school, I don't know what you're gonna do with your life, but you gotta figure it out. You see what I'm saying? I can tell my kids with confidence, hey, I'm gonna support you financially as long as you need it. So I'd rather you pursue purpose because since I found this fountain of purpose over here, I know it feels good. It feels good not to have them call a boss and say I'm running late, or to have to check in or rush to get to work for somebody else's purpose. I know what it feels like to work hard for me and be able to make changes without the red tape, without putting in a proposal and asking, can I have a little bit of say-so over here? I know what that feels like. I was in that for 27 years. And so it feels good to just have the freedom of life and to be able to be as successful as you want to be. I can give myself a raise whenever I want to. Or I can now just take money and put it into the things that I want to scale. It's up to me. I ain't got to answer to nobody. And so I want my kids to have that. I don't want my kids to go to school, to college, to go ask somebody else, can they work for them? You know what I'm saying? That to me is, anyway, I want to go down that road, but my point is that now our kids can just pursue passion, purpose. They can pursue purpose. They don't have to wait for later on in life to figure out, I really want to do this. I made a meme recently. It was, don't be an old folk wishing you was an entrepreneur. And that speaks volumes to me because I've seen many of older people, which I've talked to. I say, what would you do if you can go back in time? Even Dr. Herbert said he would have got his PhD earlier. So he went through Columbia, got his BA, got his MBA, master's, and he went to go get his doctorate later in life. I guess he felt like at a time when he didn't have his doctorate, he missed opportunities. And again, when he was coming up, PhD was really important, and MBA was really important. You know what I'm saying? Back in the 90s, get an MBA, it give you more opportunities, more professionalism, more esteem. Whereas now it's like, dude, you can have an MBA and your knowledge and be just as effective and create as many opportunities as somebody with a real MBA. It depends on the person. So now it's all about you, what's inside of you. And if you're living in your purpose from day one, man, you don't have to take in all these things you don't want to because you need to pay your rent, your mortgage, your car note. See what I'm saying? You can avoid all the stuff that adds no value to your purpose and just go over here. Maybe a struggle, but the way this job is set up now, you're gonna struggle anyway. Like, you know what I'm saying? One job's coming out of college unless you're going, even if you're going to college to be a lawyer, an engineer, or a doctor, once you get out of your 4-year degree, you ain't making no money. Then you gotta go do more education, right? You defer your earning years until going into your 30s, right? So you come out of college at 22, they're paying you 30, 40, if you're lucky, 50, 60, with housing being $22,000 a month. to be single, you go struggle anyway. So why not struggle doing it your own way? Because it's going to struggle anyway. And with the ability to be able to drive Ubers and all that kind of stuff, make ends meet. You know, you're still your own boss that way.
So do you, well, we'll go back. I have so much swirling in my mind about this. So how do you get to your day one in purpose? How do you advise young people to start the path of discovering your purpose? What's the
Man, it's just
how do you do
inventory.
that?
I think it's inventory and it's a connection. I'm really big on, like, our purpose. It's kind of like you've had children and you've ever had your kids when they were just barely walking and they be tugging on you. You may be cooking or shopping and they just, you want to kick them, but you can't because they're your children and they're young. I think your purpose tugs on you. And so instead of wanting to kick it, you got to pick it up and say, what do I do with this? Like, we have knacks. I realized when I was in the 3rd grade that I could type 100 words a minute. I didn't give a damn about typing, but they said put your hands here, look at the board, and they taught us how to remember the keys like us. And I put my hands on and I just started typing. And I had teachers go get other teachers like, look at this kid. And I'm like, what am I doing? They're like, you type really fast. And they looked at it and said, you only got like 4 errors, you know. So back then they gave you awards. You could type 100 words a minute with less than 5 errors. I was able to do it with like 2 or 3 errors only. I was like, oh, what do you do with that? You know what I'm saying? Is that my purpose to be a typist? Hell no. But oftentimes what God does, is God gives you a knack inside of a purpose, and that knack is useful inside of that purpose. I talk all the time about some people not really having really profound skills that can get them jobs, but some people have knacks of understanding complex problems, or they have knacks of believing in something where other people don't. There's always something that sets us apart from other people, and those are the things you got to pay attention to and kill all the outside noise, because those things that we have that's natural to us could be useful, will be useful, are set up to be used inside of our purpose. So, fast typing, I realized when I ended up in college, my fast typing turned into a quick mind. When I talk, I can't grab every situation I've been in like I can when I started typing. I started typing, I started grabbing everything that I've ever experienced since I was a baby, I'm sure, because I can't explain it any other way. You see what I'm saying? So I realized that God gave me the ability to type fast because it triggers something in my psychology, right? And then that thing creates all this other all this other stuff. That's important to know, because a lot of times we just blow away our knacks. Whatever it is, you're like, can't make no money off that because we don't value it. Your knack is something God gave you. A knack is something you don't work for. You don't go to school for a knack. You don't go to what are you studying? A knack. Like, what the fuck is that? So what you go to school for? What you go to school for is you go to school for something that they've set up as curriculums, right? Then they give you all these prerequisites to learn. Everybody should know this much about math, science, English, etc. And that's what you go to school for. Inside of all that curriculum stuff, your knack can evolve, and this is why people say, I'm really good at this. Well, it's the knack you have for understanding English to a certain point, of being interested in history and understanding how history plays in your universe to where you're like, I'm good at it. Or math. Some people are really good at numbers. They just see it better than other people. And for some reason, it speaks to them. That's a knack. My father was really good at science and math. He still is. I didn't get that from him, right? But because it came natural, he went into science. He became a chemist, right? He became a math teacher and all these other things. He does accounting for people. He just understands numbers, right? He didn't ask for that. He got it, and he knew it at a very early age because he got double promoted through school. I think he graduated in 9th grade from high school. he had a double master's, I think, by the time he was 21 or something like that, if I remember correctly. So the bottom line is, you have to pay attention to what God gives you. And that's what I'm asking my daughters to do. Pay attention to what God has given you and go that way, because you don't have it like I had it. I got sent off to college with a roll of quarters, like $25 in quarters on a Greyhound bus. No problem with that, right? You know what I'm saying? Because, back then we were a little bit more resourceful than we are today, right? I mean, that'd be child abuse now. But my point is that my kids ain't got to go off to college with a roll of quarters, right? They have a little bit more support than I have.
Right.
Morning. Hey, folks.